started early again. What else is new? How is everybody? Ow! I just whacked my head with my lamp. And then I bump it. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I should never. No. It wasn't bad. You should see some of the things that I delve into when I research for the spooky channel. Sometimes that gets really okay, I hate when it starts early on me. Like it did today. No, I actually sort of mapped it out in my head. And then decided how I wanted to do it. And then went with it. And I had no idea. Like, I've not been in a zombie apocalypse. So I don't know what to expect. Yeah, adventure. Well, I mean, they're dead, right? Right. And it's not really that they're growing on the body necessarily. Rather, it's more about the slush. It would be like an organic slush. And that, hey D-Man, and that could potentially bring in the fungi. It was quite the fun thing to do. I didn't spend a lot of time on the actual creatures themselves, because I know I have kids in the audience. Well, yeah. But at the same time, though, there could very well be fungi's associated with the whole process. Hey, carry me through. Yeah, I had no idea how the process works. I mean, I know how things decompose. Sorry, guys. And that's true too. But at the same time, yeah. There's a lot of variables that I didn't necessarily put into it that I probably should have. Okay. But I enjoy doing it. It's toast. I'm sorry. I got busy again and lost track of time, and it's either eat something or risk being sick. What? I just had an alert come through on my phone. Anyway, let me get into this. Yeah, more snow. We have a winter storm coming in. Mm-mm. I have not. I'm sorry, D-Man. No more. Welcome, everybody, live. I am Charlie, your host, and this is the Natureverse 4.7, and tonight we are talking about something that we've talked about before on this channel. You are about to enter a door that leads into a world where education and nature go hand in hand. Today, we are talking about things that humans do that we really shouldn't do. Let's start off with something that we've discussed many times on this channel, and that is feeding animals. Might snow a bit in Central Florida. Ugh. That's when you know it's cold. I don't blame you for staying in. Oh, guys, I got to do this one. Did I just miss it? I just missed it. Okay. And that thing that we've talked more times than I can count is feeding animals. And it's pretty simple. You just don't eat it, or you don't feed wild animals. I get feeding birds, I get maybe feeding squirrels, but there are things that just should not be fed. Ugh. I don't like snow, but I like the cold even worse. Feeding wild animals can lead to big problems. And the biggest problem is that it teaches wildlife not to be afraid of humans. And in truth, an animal that isn't afraid of humans is a danger to itself and us. It's the reason why so many places make it illegal to feed wildlife. Oftentimes, these animals get so used to being fed that they will approach other humans looking for handouts. And when they approach people and people don't have food, potentially that can lead to attacks. Well, approaching people can lead to attacks. It can lead to the animals just plain and simply attacking people. And if they attack people, then the animal has to be put down, and it's not the animal's fault. It's the people's fault. Second thing, and I have a lot tonight. You may not agree with them all. Well, if the animal gets hurt, that's usually because something has happened. Because I guarantee you, if a person gets hurt by an animal, chances are really good that the animal is going to be put down. I don't know how they handle it. Like, some people will feed wild alligators, which I don't get, but some people do it. Or they will feed raccoons, whatever it might be. If you're feeding an alligator, that's an apex predator. You're teaching an apex predator that humans mean food. If you are feeding an animal, a wild animal, you're teaching that animal that, again, like I said, that people mean food, or people will provide food, and when you move away or you pass away, there's no humans providing food. You will seek out humans to feed you because that's what you know. Now, you may not be 100% getting food from the wild, but animals that do that, that are habituated on that, will seek out people. And a alligator that is big enough to hurt somebody becomes an issue. And if the animal isn't unalived, they are taken out of the wild as a nuisance alligator. Second thing you should not do, and this is kind of related to the last one, you should never approach a wild animal. Just because a wild animal is cute and it looks cuddly and you just want to take a picture with it, or you've seen maybe a zookeeper working with an animal and they act like big pets. No, people, no. They are not pets. They don't want to cuddle with you. They want to be left alone. And if you approach them, that could be seen as a potential threat. They are wild animals for a reason. Now, if you're feeding birds and the raccoons or the squirrels get into it, that is a side. You can't control who comes to your feeder. And in our area, that's not a problem. But in other areas, it's a problem because there's bigger animals that might come to your feeder. Yeah, exactly. Animals, just because an animal is friend-shaped, doesn't make it a friend. They don't want to have you snapping pictures of them. They don't want you messing with their babies. In fact, doing either of those two things can either get you severely hurt or possibly unalived. Baby animals are best left alone. If you do happen to see a baby animal, for Pete's sakes, guys, sometimes moms need to eat. Baby deer know that when mom is away, they lay down, they don't move. And if you go up and you try to, oh my gosh, it's by itself, it must be in trouble. No. Like I said, mama deer leave their babies to go off and feed. Rabbits will do the same thing. Cottontails will leave the nest. They will go off and eat whatever and then come back to the nest. The reason they do that is they don't want to draw attention to the nest because that could bring predators. If you do see an animal and you're afraid, well, it could be hurt, back off, watch carefully. A couple hours go by, 3-4 hours go by, and mom doesn't show up, then you can be worried. Raccoons are very smart. But if you, especially mammal babies, if I see a baby rabbit, and I pick it up and I put it back down into the nest, my smell is on that baby. Mom may not accept that baby because it smells like me. Birds, on the other hand, not so much an issue. Birds don't have a good sense of smell. Mammals do. The other thing that is no good, and I see this a lot. Is when you smoke. And I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of anybody. If you smoke, whatever. But I shouldn't even have to say this. Why this is such an issue. If you throw your cigarette butt on the ground at the wrong time of the year, in the wrong area, that cigarette butt could cause a fire. Maybe. Worse yet, the filters on a cigarette is made out of plastic. And as we know, plastics are notorious for not breaking down anytime soon. A cigarette butt, believe it or not, can take 10 months to 18 years to break down. They do not decompose. You're not going to take a cigarette butt and it's going to break down and it's going to become part of the soil. No, that doesn't happen. They just break down into smaller and smaller and smaller bits. Worse yet, animals can eat those cigarette butts. And if you think that smoking is bad for people, imagine eating a cigarette. That can be really bad news for an animal. A cigarette butt can be toxic. Just one cigarette butt in 2 gallons of water is enough to make that water dangerous to animals. Chemicals can even leach out of the butt, and those chemicals can end up in the water and in the soil. And some of those chemicals are not nice. Every time I go to drag it down, I forget to click. Got it. I was talking about cigarette butts. Okay. I am legit guilty of this on occasion. I won't do this anymore though. This one doesn't sound too bad. So you're eating an apple or you peel an orange and you're in the woods. What do you do with the peel or the leftover core? You probably just throw it into the woods and you forget about it. Well, you probably shouldn't do that. And here's why. 1, you throw out your partially eaten apple core alongside the road. All of the food is not up that apple. An animal might come up and eat that. So, if that happens along the roadside, that animal could get hit by a car. And they do take a while to break down. If it's an apple, you could be introducing, or maybe an Asian pear, or if it's in Florida, in the right area, you could be introducing a new plant into Florida that wasn't there before. So don't just throw seeds out there. The bacteria, I don't know what to say to that one because I feel like that's true. They could at that. Apples are not native to the United States. Neither are pears. All of that fruit comes from Eastern Europe or Western Asia. Apples do not belong in Northwest Indiana growing in the wild. I'm sure there are apples around, and I think there's some native crab apples, but we don't have wild apples growing. That being said, you might find a homestead that was maybe built during, I don't know, sometime in our past, and they might have had apple trees, and now those apples are there, but that's a different story. So cores and apples can also take, as D-Man said, a while to break down. Johnny Appleseed planted apples. That does not make them native to the United States. It just means that there are apples growing in the United States. This I haven't ran into on hikes, but blasting music outside creates noise pollution. My brother would turn up the volume on his stereo system, and it would shake the house. No, it just means that they are naturalized, not native. Because I can have daylilies growing somewhere, but just because they're growing there doesn't mean that they're native. It means they're naturalized. And so a naturalized plant is a plant that doesn't need humans to take care of it. Doesn't make them native. It just means that they don't need people to take care of it. For instance, garlic mustard. And we will get to that a little bit later, D-Man. What are some other examples? There are other examples, but it's sort of like some of the wild, we call them wild mustangs. Don't even get me on that. That's a whole different story. Loud music. Not only is it noise pollution, it is also creates stress for animals, and not to mention it can ruin the outdoors for other people. Yelling. Oh. If you have a dog or a cat and you yell, you know what type of an impact that can have on them. Imagine what it does to animals that are wild and aren't used to people being loud. It can stress them out. It can agitate them. It's not good for them. Your presence is bad enough. Just saying. Moving rocks or logs. If you saw the thumbnail, you know what I'm talking about. When you take a rock out of a stream and you stack them, that removes cover for an animal that might need that cover. That could fall. Your stack could fall and an animal could get hurt. You're by making that stack of rocks, you're changing the ecosystem. When you move a log, I mean, I do it sometimes when I'm looking for animals, but you should put the log immediately back the same way that you found it. Social trails. Oh, don't get me on social trails. If you don't know what a social trail is, it can look deceptive because it looks like a normal trail that any park ranger might have made. Except that what it really is yeah, we'll also be talking about that too. Because that's an issue. Social trails are where people get off the trail and they walk. And the more people that do that kill the plants in that social trail. Yeah, I'm trying to stick to my sort of script. It's really just an outline. It's not even a script. Only because I'm gonna cover those. I'm covering them one at a time, D-Man. But social trails can create erosion. So when it rains, there's nothing there to hold the soil in, and it can move. So stay on the trails. Not only that, but me and my nephews were hiking in one of the national parks in the national park in my area, and we stepped off of the trail and onto a social trail. We got yelled at by the rangers for it. Next up, bug spray, sunscreen, and other chemicals. If you are wearing all of those chemicals, right, and you're in the wild, your cologne or your perfume, depending upon the smell, can actually attract insects like bees, wasps, maybe even mosquitoes, other things as well. If you know that you're going hiking, I get it. Put a little bit of deodorant on. Wear long sleeved if you have to, because if you're in the shade, it's going to be cooler anyway. There are alternatives to bug spray that you can even get. Soap. Say you're going to be camping and you need to wash your hands. Don't wash your hands into a stream, because your soap causes pollution. Wash your hands over the ground. We have probably done this at some point or another. Even the biodegradable stuff, don't rinse it into the water. Do it. Bring water with you. Use that to rinse it off. That was a suggestion. Flushing pills down your toilet or down your sink. Not okay. And I'll tell you why. Depending upon the medication, they have found that women who flush certain pills down the we're not talking about getting high, down the toilet or down the sink, puts the hormones in those medications into the water in high enough quantities. It can affect wildlife living in the water. They found frogs with birth defects, and when they checked the water, yep, they found things that should not be in the water. It can do all types of different things, but that's one of them. Another thing you should not do, and D-Man already hit on this, is using calls to lure prey or to lure animals out of hiding. That is not okay. You don't know necessarily what that call is. If you do a predatory call, meaning that maybe you're trying to bring a crow or a hawk or a smaller bird out into the open and you use an alarm call, you could be unknowingly stressing that animal out. And that's not good. And you could also be attracting a predator into the area. So just don't do it. When you're out hiking and we have our cameras and we have our phones and you're snapping pictures, don't geotag it. Don't do that, because if it is your, I don't know what where you left. I talked about pills, using calls to lure prey. Probably not much. If you have that secret spot and you geotag it, that lets everybody that sees that picture know where your secret spot is. So maybe you saw an owl at that secret spot and you geotag it. Everybody and their grandma now knows, oh, that's a great spot. We can go there and we can see that owl. When 35 people go to look for that owl, it's going to stress it out. Or maybe you found a really neat fossil and you really want to show people. So you take a picture and you geotag it. That lets everybody that sees that picture know that maybe the Kankakee River is a great place to go looking for fossils. It's not, guys. It's not. But same thing applies to any picture that you do in the wild. If you geotag it, everybody's going to know about it, so don't geotag. Taking your dogs into the wild without a leash. I don't know, because I'm not showing signs of it. Sometimes I'll see lag on my Chromebook. And there's a little bit of lag, but not much. when you take your dog into the wild, that's great, but do it on a leash. And why do you need to have your dog on a leash? Because not everything in the wild is dog friendly. Oh, excuse me. If you have a dog and it's just running wild and it finds a baby animal, even if that baby animal is a deer, if mom is nearby, you could lose your dog. Not only that, but a dog that's off the leash could possibly get in contact with an animal that has rabies. It could pick up distemper. Have your dog on a leash. Don't allow them to have interactions with wildlife. Keep them under control, or don't take them into the wild. Second thing I want to talk about, and I'm super guilty of this sometimes, depending upon where I'm at. If I see something really cool and it's not in a national park or it's not in a state park, chances are really good I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to bring it home. However, you are responsible for what you pick up. It is not okay for me to go to California and start picking up skulls. I don't know the rules in California. I do know that picking up feathers, that's a no. That's illegal. I mean, I'm putting it out there. What you do with it, that's your business. Yeah, skulls. If I'm out on the beach and I see a big, humongous skull and I'm like, super cool, I'm going to take that home. D-man, can I pick up a whale skull and take it home? No. Sorry, I didn't mean for you to answer that. Ugh. You just should not be picking up skulls and taking it home. Because you could land yourself in trouble. You don't know if that skull, you don't know. The problem is you don't know what's endangered and what's not. Marine mammals are protected under the Marine Mammal Protection Act, and birds are protected under the Migratory Bird Act. The fact that you pick up a feather or the fact that you pick up that skull doesn't mean that you killed it. But that's the way it is. Fossils are a different story. I do think in some areas you have to have a permit. Okay, but here's the thing. If I go out and I pick up a feather and I get pulled over by a cop or a ranger, they don't know I didn't kill it. They don't know that I didn't do something to that animal. So legally, it is for your good to leave it where it's at. Now, a small fossil like this, if that were a fossil, it's always best if you're in a place, know the rules. Some places I've been, they will let you take a 5-gallon bucket and collect what'll fit inside the bucket, fossil-wise. Other places, national parks and state parks, no, you cannot collect it all. Now, that being said, in some parks, you can forage. Like, for example, and again, this depends on the park and depends on the state. If I see a ripe wild raspberry, I can eat that. But again, check your rules, because you don't want to get caught in a situation where you do something and have to claim ignorance, because the law doesn't work that way. We just recently, and I'm going to talk about this, I am not attacking anybody. I'm just letting you know, don't do this. If you're at the beach and you're digging in the sand, that's fine. You can dig in the sand. Just don't dig too deep. Because in Florida, you could have baby sea turtles on some beaches. So be careful. But up here where I live, we don't have sea turtles, but we do have sand. If you're digging in the sand, don't dig deep. Don't go into it, because sand is heavy. And if you fall into that sand, it can unalive you. So just don't do that. Believe it or not, we have covered 14 things that you should not do. Spiders aren't really an issue in the sand, typically, depending upon where you live. If you're in the water, now this is more a saltwater thing than it is a freshwater thing, but that is not always the case. No, the fish, yes, please pick up your pet waste. I did not talk about that. Your pet waste could contain parasites. I don't know. It could. It could have diseases in it. Pick it up. Nobody wants to be stepping in it. Nobody wants to be smelling it. Clean it up. Wearing flashy metal in the beach or in the water is just, I'm going to say it, it's just dumb. And I'll tell you why it's dumb. Because think of a small bait fish. If you've ever seen a sardine ball where they're in the water and the predators are going in and zooming through it, they're shiny. Your shiny metal jewelry, like a fish. Predators may come in and see that shining in the water and think it's a fish, and your jewelry could get you bit. Barracuda, vicious bite. A shark, vicious bite. Don't wear jewelry in the water for those reasons. Second to the last thing that I'm going to talk about tonight and that is picking up wildlife. Guys, I'm probably talking to the choir. I hope. I have seen so many people. I haven't seen a lot of people doing it, but I have seen people do it in videos. Picking up an octopus in Australia, it's just plain dumb. It's dumb. It's really dumb. Because not all octopuses, I'm sorry, are safe to hold. There are little octopuses in Australia that are killers. They would fit in my hand. They're cute. They're super cute. I would even have one as a pet. No, I wouldn't. But these octopuses, when they're upset, they flash blue rings. Blue-ringed octopuses. They will kill you if they bite you. If you're lucky, you get taken to the hospital. I don't remember which animal it is. There isn't. Listen closely. There isn't anti-venom for blue-ringed octopuses. If you get bit, they will put you on a ventilator. The machine will breathe for you until the venom wears off. People who are smart will know flashy colored animals that are beautiful, are very often the ones that you should not be picking up. I don't know how much easier I can say this, but if you don't know what it is, you should not be touching it. And there's still animals that you should not be picking up, even if you do know what it is. Tell me I'm wrong. I've seen biologists, people that should know better, handling red widows. And he got bit. Bites happen. Accidents happen. But why put yourself at risk of being bit? Rabies, that's a big, huge thing. If you pick up an animal if you pick up a mammal and you don't know what it is, you don't know if it has rabies or not. It may not be showing the foam. It could still have rabies. So just do yourself a favor and don't pick them up. You know what? Australia has some issues. But if I had the money and I wasn't afraid to fly, I would be in Australia in a heartbeat. What happened to Steve Irwin was an accident, a fluke. when you go into an animal's habitat, there are risks. When you go out on a hike, there are risks. Risks that you have very little control over. But when you go out into nature, you're assuming that risk. You're taking that risk on. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Last thing I want to talk about. When you are out in nature, there should be no trace of you leaving. You should not leave any trace of humans in the wild. I don't care if you're just walking down to grandma's house or walking to the store. If you're eating something, stick it in your pockets. It's that simple. It's that simple. Don't pollute. Take it, put it in your backpack, take it out with you. A lot of parks have garbage cans. When you're done with your hike, throw it in the garbage. And I'm not necessarily talking to the people that are in my live. I'm talking to the people who are going to watch my live. There are rules when you're out in nature that you need to be following. These are some of them. But just because people grew up with that when you go fishing, and D-Man will probably agree with me 120%, if you're out fishing and your line gets stuck, or whatever the case may be, do your best to retrieve it. Because fishing hooks and fishing line are horrible. Absolutely horrible. I have seen things that boggle my mind. I used to work at a school on more than one occasion. I have gone to school after a game night. And literally, there's a dirty diaper in the parking lot. I promise you, 20 feet away from where that dirty diaper was, there's a garbage bin. A garbage can. Somebody was too lazy. I'm not wearing my outfit. They were too lazy to go and throw it away. It's gross. And all of this garbage, it doesn't stay in one place. I have seen grocery bags, the plastic grocery bags, in trees. If you're gonna buy a balloon, don't set them free. I don't care if it's your wedding and you want to set the balloons free and let them fly. That is so stupid and careless and thoughtless. I'm sorry. But it must be okay because you don't have to see the end result of what happens when a whale ingests that balloon. And they do. Well, that is dangerous. Carrie, that is dangerous, thoughtless, and the police should have been called. Yeah, I don't play around. Yeah, and the doves are throwing rice. A lot of times, the things that we do are simple things. It's simple things that we do that make the difference. But if you're driving down the road, and I've seen people do it, you're driving down the road and your cigarette gets tossed out the window. You're done with your McDonald's. So what do? You just throw it out the window. It is not okay to do that stuff. Look at that. An hour and 3 minutes. An hour and 3 minutes. And I was afraid I wouldn't have enough stuff to talk about. A chalk? What do you mean? Um, Um, it can. Oh no. The plastic bags, the styrofoam. Now the chalk can cause issues. If a lot of it enters the water, it can affect water quality. It can harm aquatic organisms. Large amounts of chalk can change the pH and nutrient levels of soil. So on that score, yes, it can be bad. Plastic, though, plastic is an issue when you're talking plastic. I can't show it because I don't own the pictures. Oh, excuse me. But look up the Ganges River. After I'm done with live, I want you to type oh. If you type that into your browser after live, you'll see that plastic pollution is everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah, people are messy. People are pigs. I think that's a universal issue. Every time there's a parade. Guys, I am going to let you go. But let me tell you what's coming up. Oh, I don't have it up. Here it is. Well, I try really hard not to judge, because pollution is pollution. There's no ups and downs in and out about it. But people need jobs. And we send a lot of stuff to India. But for some of those people, and I know some of it's religious, but if you're living in the streets, where do you bathe? If at all. I don't know. Coming up Saturday, we have monthly roundup. Would you rather is what we'll be doing that night. It does. And when they break down, it doesn't go away. It just gets smaller. Tuesday. This is what is coming up next week. Coming up next week, we have Columbian Mammoth and Dwarf Mammoth. And then Tuesday night, we have Cave Bear and Cave Lion. Friday, we have Semp Duck and Snake Fruits. And then later that night, we have Dead Man's Fingers and Monkey Orange. And then that Saturday, we have Trivia, Fruits and Vegetables. And then Friday night, or that Saturday night, we are going to be doing If You Could Grow Anything in Our Giant Greenhouse, What Would You Grow? That's a possibility. Africa has a problem. D-Man, are you talking to me or are you talking to somebody else? Yeah, it depends on where you're at. I think, depending upon where you're at, situations may be worse. Like in South Africa, there's areas just as good as the United States. It's one of the reasons why things like sleeping sickness, malaria, guinea worm are so bad. Anyway, guys, it is late. I am going to let you guys go. Thank you for coming in, D-Man. It is always nice to see you. Nature Fan, thank you for coming in. Carrie, thank you for coming in. Thank you to everybody who watches this later. And thank you to those of you who aren't able to chat for whatever reason. Thank you for coming in. I will see you in the next one, which is tomorrow at 1 p.m. Bye, everybody.